Today on our latest fishing trip, we went back to the basics to go out there and catch a good bag of bass. Today I got my friend BJ Knowles right here, and we're going to share with you guys some basic fishing tips that will help you go out and catch bass on a beautiful day like today that was where we caught a bunch of post-spawn bass. Let's get into it. BJ, today I noticed the wind, how you were fishing the wind.
Yes.
Just share some information you like to on how you fish the wind. And I know it's very important for this time of year and any time you're catching bass.
Well, in today's deal was we were down a long creek, and there was different bends in that creek, and there was points that would come off that creek, and if the wind was coming down that bank or down the middle of the creek, it wasn't hitting that bank.
Yeah.
If it didn't hit that bank, I noticed you didn't see me. I didn't pick up that jackhammer.
Yep.
I was throwing the frog. So then, when we got around the corner, the wind was in a different direction hitting that bank. You notice I picked up the jackhammer, and we went to catching bigger fish.
Yep.
And, hey, Kevin Van Dam said it best, the wind is your friend.
Need a net? That's a good one.
Yeah, I know one thing I want to do. Here, hang on, let me get it.
There you go. Get that fish in. Get that fish in here, BJ. There we go.
And it's friend.
The wind is your friend. So you just mentioned that you were throwing a frog, you were throwing a jackhammer, and then guys, what I was even doing when we got out of the wind is I'd start flipping the Texas rig.
Right.
And you multiple times today mentioned if I was in a tournament, I would pick that up. But I know you're back here, so just kind of, you know.
Right.
If you mess up on a.
Oh, yeah! Get it! Yeah!
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah!
I'm gonna float flip this dude. What do you think?
I don't know.
Boom.
Boom.
Yes, sir.
What happened on that deal was, if you remember, we were getting around a bend there. The wind had kind of died off. I throw the jackhammer out and I hit a log and I kind of hang up and I'm trying to get it off, and this fish comes up and just smashes it on there, and I catch it off the log. And I said, man, if I was in a tournament today, I'm wanting a chunk of wine because I don't get to play fish very often. So Jimmy comes over for us just to have a good time and fish. And so right then I'm like, dude, we need to be pitching and flipping.
Yep.
We need to be doing a creature bait or a jig or something, because the way that fish bit, and that was because there was no wind and he was just set up like that.
Yep.
And so but I was wanting to force that bite, so I sped up the trolling motor and went around the corner until we saw wind again.
Yep.
And started fishing from there.
Yeah. Now, one thing I noticed today, we fished down the wind
Yes.
and then fished up the wind.
Yes.
We had a lot of our bites going down the wind today.
Yes.
But one thing with you that I want people to realize is I thought you did a really good job controlling the trolling motor.
Yes.
You had it on light, or the lighter speed, but you did a good job of keeping us a good distance from the bank.
Right.
But just like one thing, I don't know, I was going to hear your thoughts of fishing down the wind and then compared to up the wind.
Well, in a post-spawn situation like we're in right now, fishing down the wind, in my opinion, is a reaction bite.
Yeah, and you said that a couple times today. We're looking for that reaction bite.
We're looking for the reaction bite. And what I mean by that is if you're fishing with the wind, the bait that they're seeing is coming with the wind. It's natural to them. But if they think there's something's going to get away from them and they're not going to have a chance to hit it, if you're going away from the wind, it's something running, and that makes them grab it. You know?
There we go.
One more jump on here. Get the camera back.
Yeah, get that dude in here. That's a pretty fish. Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? And that's that reaction.
That is that reaction.
Yes.
And I know one thing, I know a couple pros have mentioned it to me before, the higher level guys. I've always asked them against the wind or with it. And I know like today we're fishing stained, more muddy water.
Right.
But I've had a few tell me that like when you're going down that wind, like everything you said, they've said, but they also like mentioned how you're not on that trolling motor. It's quiet.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're going up against the wind, that trolling motor's going, and it's loud, then fish they hear that thing better than what we think.
Yes, they do. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing today with it too was I noticed that was interesting how we had our bites going down the wind,
right,
and then not as much going up.
Right.
Now on the jackhammer today, okay, just talk a little about your setup with the jackhammer frog, and you picked him up. I mean, guys, he was 3 casts this, pick it up. 3 casts here. I mean, you were junk fishing.
Yes.
But you were picking them up and going.
Right. Well, if you noticed, there was a certain type of a salad-looking moss that we were looking at, and it was only so much of it spurty down that bank.
Yep.
Every time we came up on there was a frog bite.
Uh-huh.
But then when we were in the wind, the jackhammer played a role.
Yep.
And then there was times I was picking up the old school floating rogue when we were more still, you know.
I didn't think you were going to share that juice, but I got to watch that today, guys.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in my back pocket, okay?
Yeah, that's some juice. That's some old school juice.
Yeah, that's the old school.
Old school juice. Yeah. And then, but and then of course, I have my shaky head set up that I call it the South Arkansas spinning reel.
Yep.
And we we were going down through there picking that when the wind would stop.
Uh-huh.
But the wind, we're in this creek, and it was funny how the wind was hitting it, and it just depended on the way the wind was going. And I'd turn to you and say, "Hey, man, that wind's picking up. Grab that jackhammer," you know. And but I mean, we had over 20 something pounds.
We had right under 21 pounds.
Yeah,
today.
right under 21 pounds today, and caught 60 or so fish. And never once, none of them were not keepers. They were all keepers. They were all keepers, and we were in a very tough post spawn funky bite.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing of pulling it against the wind is a reaction strike, and that is a key in a post spawn funky condition.
Yeah, like even today, we got on the water. We started fishing about 7:45, and I thought the bite was going to be better at noon on, and it wasn't. It was about that 8 o'clock to 10:30. It happened.
It happened.
And
yes.
then all of a sudden later in the day comes. I'm starting to look down. It's 1 o'clock, and I'm like, man, we're not getting any bites, but I know somewhere somebody was getting bites,
right?
But not us. It was funny just how my mind on the day didn't happen like I thought.
No, and also too when that wind was picking up, it broke the cloud cover up.
Yep. The
sun came out, and the black bluebird sky came in, which is a lot of high pressure. And me and you were talking about how you go to an aquarium like over in Hot Springs, and all of it says do not tap on the glass because of their ears.
Yeah.
And if you ever drove through the mountain and have your ears pop, they're living in a pressured environment.
Yep.
So that barometric pressure of that wind blowing those clouds out of the way puts that pressure on them, and I mean it locked them up today. So we were like fast and furious to zero. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, and but then again, if we went back to the flipping bite, and we probably would have got creature baits and kind of slowly picked it apart, which I hate fishing that way, and we're just.
There you go. Yep. He's mad at the world. Yep. Oh, there we go. Replace that in there. Put him in there. We got 5. Yeah, we got 5. Oh, our other one's been bigger than that, though. We let one go bigger than this. Well,
It's fun fishing, so I was trying to force something else to happen.
And guys, if you've watched the channel a lot lately, I've not been flipping much due to be fishing at Washita to Gray.
Right.
I was enjoying today. And we talked about Millwood, and I was enjoying the flipping bite. I today, guys, was flipping my old Fighting Frog, 5/16 weight. I was throwing the South African Special. You're going to see it there in the clip. And then I was doing the Ozark rig, too, with the Z-Frog.
Right. Yes.
And so that was my two things. And he was up there, go running and gunning. And we also, later in the day, found the old brim beds, though.
Yeah, we did.
You're going to go catch those probably tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, yesterday I looked at, tomorrow will be that bite.
Yeah.
But we were in the back end of a cove, and I looked down, and there was these big red ear brim everywhere, and bass were swirling at them. So we know that's fixing to happen. And also, we're in a full moon.
Yeah,
so the brim is moving in. And man, I had the bass bow up at them. I had them blow up a little bit, slap at it, miss them. That's when I picked up the old school rod. But I turned to him, and I turned to Jimmy. I said, "Look, I need to be back here first thing in the morning, and I guarantee you, there's going to be a big bass bite."
I'm going to be throwing the jig head minnow at Hamilton, and you're going to be sending me pictures of these fish you're going to catch on the frog.
That's right.
Now, real quick, wind. And I know we were talking about the wind earlier, and you have called me before on the Deep Dive app and the wind effects feature I know you like, but then you talk about the inflow point. But guys, today that Deep Dive app, I was already checking it and how it was spot on to where we were at. It was showing the areas that the wind was blowing on and not blowing on. But guys, that's something I know you've used the Deep Dive app and had success.
Yes.
And I was going to let you just talk a little bit about that, just from your side.
Man, that Deep Dive app, to me, if you ever get out there on the water and you get stumped and you really just don't know what to do and you don't have an answer, Best thing for you to do is you download that Deep Dive app, get it in your phone, and you can go to it, and it'll ask you a series of questions. Does it have grass in the lake? Does it have rocks? It's going to tell you probably the top 5 baits to use.
Yep.
It will show you the best wind-blown points of what you're looking for. I was really impressed with the water inflow.
Yeah.
Because 5 or 6 years ago, if it was going to rain or whatever, and we were going to catch them in a drain with water inflow, I'd have to burn up a tank of gas on Ouachita, looking around where those are at. Now it's right there on your phone.
Yep.
And it saves you time.
And
it saves you money.
And on the lake we're at today, where there's not much contour maps, that inflow, I tell people all the time, like a lake like Millwood, I knew the inflow points before that app came out. That's something me and Johnny always talked about.
Right.
And there were certain inflow points that just, there was so much life in those areas of the lake.
Yes.
And a lake like this that we're at today, there's no contour maps. And it kind of gives you a direction of where oxygen's running in, plankton, everything can be.
Right, yes. And it's going to save you time and money.
Yep.
So it's worth every penny you pay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I found myself where I've done tried this, I've done tried A, B, C, and D, this is not working. And I'm like, Deep Dive out.
Yep.
Let's get it out.
Yeah.
And man, I get it out, and I was like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's going to tell you a good general idea of what you need to do, even down to the color of the bait.
Yeah.
And even size.
Ouachita, which, Ouachita is one of the lakes I know I fish a lot, and I've helped with the app, but I had a guy getting ready for the Trader Bill team's trail there, and he was on a mag draft bite, and it kind of had on the patterns of like what to look for and stuff, and he was like, dude, it was spot on.
Right.
And so that's always, like I said, I've used the baits and the patterns as like, well, this is what I've done. What do I need to check that I hadn't done?
Yes.
Like you just said, kind of like, oh, I've not thought about this yet, this rounded secondary point, in the back half of a creek.
Right.
But man, BJ, thank you for being on the video today. Thank you for letting me come down here and catch some fish with you, getting to see a new lake.
Yeah.
And appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all for watching today's video. And hey, come back and we'll see you on the next one.